What's up? I'm Angie, and you are listening to Podcast That Pays, the podcast for online business owners who want to grow their business and sell their offers using podcasting. If you like no fluff, tell it like it is advice from a marketing-loving podcast agency owner, you are in the right place. So glad you're here. Let's dive in. Okay, so I am quitting, and not in the sense of like quitting, going on sabbatical, burning everything to the ground, but I will explain. So I am about to share with you what is going on with me, what's going on with my business, why you should care, if you care, whatever. I'm just sharing and breaking this down. So, am I quitting my business? No. I am quitting a particular part of my business um, that I originally started due to, I don't know, because of money, pressure. Um, it was what I was supposed to do. It just seemed logical. It just one of those things that just sucked me in. If you can relate to that, I've been sucked into a lot of things, especially jobs and in roles because of financial gain, right? Mostly. And when something looks like it's good or that it can make you a maximum amount of money, it's hard to resist those things and to really kind of lean back into what it is, remembering what it is that you really want. So, in about I don't know, 2000, I started doing this, teaching podcasting and getting into podcast marketing in about 2018 when I launched my first podcast and I got to, top 1% of podcasts, and I was making money from my podcast, and people started asking me like, how did you do this? And I was like, oh, maybe I should teach how to do a podcast. And so then eventually I pivoted to that. And I started out with strategy, and I started out telling people like, okay, here's how we're going to do your content here. Let me help you map all this out for you. Here's how you're going to create a podcast that's going to work for your business. So I kind of landed on that angle of podcasting just because that's what I was familiar with. Like, let me help you grow your business with your podcast. Let me help you market your offers with your podcast. Right. And you've heard me talk about this, and that's who I help. I'm not just like out here helping all the podcasters, even though I could, but I just kind of stayed in my lane. And so I would go and do these sessions and do these VIP days and map out people's podcasts and map out your entire season and how to do this. And this is your marketing plan. And then what would happen is they would turn around and ask me, they would say, oh, well, Angie, who do you know that could produce this for me? And I was like, huh. Actually, I know a couple people, but after a while, I started thinking, like, dang, I feel like I'm just throwing money away because I could just do this part. And all of these people who are asking me this, I could make money by just doing the production instead of passing them off to other people, which is what I was doing. And so that's where my journey began with podcast production, right? Prior to that, didn't have any experience with how to edit with audio. If you know me, I'm very low tech, low key audio. Like, I just make it happen. I make it happen regardless. And I love the platform of podcasting because I don't have to show up and be on video. And that was one of the things that I loved the most, is that I could just show up and do it the easiest way possible and get it done. So like trying to be super techy and have all this equipment and stuff was just not aligned with what I wanted to do. Okay. So I didn't know. I wasn't really into that. I wasn't really a producer per se or an editor, but I was just attracted by this, like, man, I could do this whole thing for people. And that's how I got into it. And in the beginning, I initially partnered with someone, and then I decided to take it all in-house and hire a podcast editor to come on my team. And we have produced lots and lots and launched lots of podcasts, hundreds in the last couple of years. And it's been fine. It's been great, but it's been draining. And not that I don't have amazing clients, I do. It's just after, 2023 and just feeling really stuck and stagnant in my business, like a lot of people were feeling. I know a lot of people felt that in the last year. And one of the things that I've really been reflecting on is how do I create something that I really love and lean into the things that I really enjoy about business and not create myself a whole other 9 to 5, but just for myself. Okay. That's what I had created. I just created a job for myself versus creating a business that gave me freedom and allowed me to use my skills um and show up in a way that I enjoyed, right? And so that's kind of where I have been at, and I started really thinking about what is it that I really like to do? This is one of them. This is one of them. Like if I could just sit all day with a microphone in front of my face and talk, that I would be happy. And I am happy every time I do it. I'm so happy. And I started just thinking about and noticing how I felt after I did certain things. And I started noticing, okay, this is when I'm feeling most happy and fulfilled. So, me doing trainings and workshops lights me up. I love it. Like, I never want to stop. Me talking behind a microphone, love it. Never, ever want to stop. Me doing client deliverables, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not that I cannot do it, not that I cannot hire people. Um, it's just that that part of my business does not light me up. And I had to really be honest with myself because it is a big revenue chunk. Oh, it's a big chunk of my revenue. So coming clean or coming to this realization and saying, I'm quitting this is such a big deal for me. I don't take it lightly, and it also feels very freeing because it's had me in a chokehold, and I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't feeling motivated in my business anymore. And I want to bring that up as a point because, you know, if you are feeling unmotivated or stuck, I invite you to really examine what you're doing in your business. I invite you to really look at, are you really doing things that serve you or that support who you are, that support what you enjoy? Are you really doing that in your business? Are you really leaning into the things that you're really good at? For instance, I'm good at this. This I'm good at. Okay, got the gift of gab. Am I good at organization and organizing client projects and answering them all in timely manners and getting everything done in a timely manner and, being really organized and do it? No, I am not. One of the things I did not enjoy about my job, I call it a corporate job, but I just worked in freaking retail. One of the things that was really hard is that I was managing a lot of people, and that was really draining. And so as I was sitting here thinking about what I want my business to be like, one of the things that was a real source of stress and draining in me when I had my job was managing people. And I was sitting thinking like, okay, well, I can get this person and this person to help me and I can build this and this is how I'm going to scale. So I was thinking about scaling. I'm like, how am I going to scale this business from, this agency, this where I'm producing podcast, where I'm having to pay a team and now I'm having to it's a lot of pressure to have to pay people all the time. It's a lot of pressure to have to keep going. It's a lot of coordination, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of, you know, I have to keep up my team, keep up with my clients, keep up with my marketing. Like it's a lot, right? And so I had to really examine like, is that really what I want to build and create for myself? And on one hand, for a while, I did think that that's what I wanted. Like I wanted to create this big agency and this big company. And the more that I think about it, the more that I have thought about it, it's just not what I want at all. And I really desire to simplify. And so this is why I've made this decision. So, Angie, what are you doing? What are you going to be doing now? So basically, I have opened up a new membership from the very beginning. Something from the very beginning that I always wanted to do and that I always believed in was collaboration, was community. And when it comes to podcasting, how important that is to have community and collaboration. And I always wanted to create that. I really wanted to create that. And I remember when I was outlining my production services, I was like, yeah, I'm going to have this community of all these people that I'm doing this for, blah, blah, blah. Community was always a part of it. And I just got so far away from it because of the production. I had to focus on other things and I couldn't really focus on the thing that I wanted to focus on. Okay. So I just started a new community called the Podcast Collab Lab, and it's going to house all of my products. So every single digital download that I have created up until now and am going to create, there's several that I'm going to create this year. Podcast AI course, a private podcast course that's coming out soon. So I'm going to create those, and all the templates and things like that will all be there, all the digital downloads. And I'm also creating a digital download, like a digital shop. But you can get all of the digital downloads in one place in the membership. And then also it's all about collaboration and being together and how I'm going to help to foster that community and that collaboration and how we're going to grow each other's podcasts together in community. So that is what I am creating and why. I just want to simplify. I want to focus on community. I want to focus on helping people with podcast growth and marketing and strategy. And I've even thought about becoming like a fractional podcast person for you, like a fractional CMO, but for your podcast. So I've literally thought about that. Like, I just would let me take one client and like be this client's person, their personal podcast person that does everything for their podcast and how it incorporates into their business. So I've also thought about that, but I'm really focused on creating like some sustainable income where is more predictable. So, which is why, I'm doing this sort of membership model. So I'm really focusing on that and also just building out things like YouTube and a blog and my podcast so that there are evergreen things that are working for me over and over. And then just really building out really smart systems and funnels around that. Right. And just really focusing on the simplicity of, okay, let me create this content once, I'm going to sit down and create this video. It's going to go for YouTube. It's going to go for my podcast. It's going to go on a blog. That'll live forever. That'll attract me clients. What happens when they come? They're going to go into this funnel. They'll come into like whatever, right? And how do I plug all the holes in that, right? How do I be more intentional about the leads that I capture and where I'm leading them and really focusing on that and really having some sustainable systems in place where then, okay, if I want to play, then I can play. So like if next month I just want to create I don't know, like, hey, grow your podcast 30-day challenge, then I can be creative and do that if I want to. If I can do one-off things like that, then cool, because I always have this like really sustainable, stable business model in the background that can slowly be growing and growing me more monthly recurring revenue, right? So that's kind of my thinking behind it all. And the other day I had a call and I announced this on the call that I'm quitting production, and someone was on the call and they were like, wait, like I was supposed to get production with you. And she was messaging me privately that she had messaged me back because I had made an offer to her. I was like, hey, come do this production package with me. And I thought she ghosted me. And then she answered me twice, even followed up. I never saw the email. And so she thought I ghosted her. But anyway, so we decided, like, she was like, oh my God, please let me get in before you cut this off. And I was like, I should probably give other people the opportunity to do the same. If they want to work with me and be like literally last call for alcohol, like last call, this is it. There's no more after this. So last call, like I ain't even dropping links or anything like that. Like if you want to, like, come get at me if you want to work with me, because I'm not like, this is literally like, come on, come work with me. So if you are a current client and you're hearing this and like freaking out, like don't freak out. I'm not dropping any of my current clients. I'm not changing anything. I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not like going to send you over to anybody else. But I'm just not taking any more clients. And so eventually it'll die off. But some people will probably stay with me for years, and that's totally fine. As of now. So there's no problem with that. But yeah, get at me, come find me if you really want to do production and want me to launch your podcast with you. And yeah, so moral of the story here is do what makes you freaking happy. I can't tell you how freeing I have felt since I have just made the decision in my head. So things haven't even happened yet. I'm still producing a lot of shows. I just feel it just feels so much confirmation for me that this is the right thing for me because of how good and free I feel. So I just wanted to share that with you, just from a perspective of, what's going on personally, what's going on in my business, my thought process behind it. I don't know if this is really interesting content or not. This doesn't really have to do with like helping you grow your podcast. But yeah. So I just encourage you, if you are feeling like that, to really evaluate what's working in your business, what's not working in your business, and just do the thing that makes you happy. Like, you created this business to be happy, to have a means of something that can support you. And probably because it was an option, I don't want to say your only option, but the best option for you because there was not a good job option for you. So anyway, do the things that make you happy. If you need my help with launching production and you want to, work with me, whatever, hit me up on Instagram at Angie M. Jordan. Or if you just want to chat about this conversation, hit me up on Instagram at Angie M. Jordan and let's chat about it. I'll tell you more about what I'm doing or what I'm thinking, whatever. I'm an open book. And yeah, I will talk to you next time.
Hey, if you enjoyed the show, head over to podcastthatpays.com to get started on your way to creating a podcast that pays. And don't forget to follow this show and take a screenshot that you were listening and tag me on Instagram at Angie M. Jordan. I'd love to meet you and show you some love over there. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. Let's get this money.